All right, guys, today we got a massive box of rats, frozen rats delivered to the farm. And we've got a whole lot of snakes that need to be fed. And they absolutely love their frozen rats. Well, we heat them up first, but they absolutely love rats. But there's 3 animals that we're gonna feed that are not snakes that actually might surprise you by eating rats. So stay tuned until the end and find out what those animals are. So let's head on inside and start feeding. All the snakes that we have came from either owner surrenders or were taken from the previous owners because of cruel conditions. Now, we always use frozen thawed rodents to feed our snakes, and that's just so that the snakes don't get injured by live prey. And also, there's just not a reason to feed live prey and make an animal suffer. We get our rodents frozen from rodentpro.com, and I absolutely love this company just because of how clean all the animals arrive. One thing that I will say about the rodents that we get from there, I'm not quite sure why, but why do they have to, whenever they freeze them, they wrap them up like they're all cuddling together? I love all animals. That's why I have an animal sanctuary. I don't know why they have to make it look like the rats are cuddling. That's the only thing that I have against Rodent Pro. But outside of that, super high quality feeder rodents. So I'm gonna pop these guys back in the freezer, and we get these delivered probably about once every 2 months. And I'll get a ton of rats, everything from baby mice to adult large rats for our big boa constrictor. So what I do after I get them, whenever I'm ready, is I soak them, I leave them in the bag, and I actually soak them in scalding hot water. You can leave them in the bag or you can take them out of the bag. What I have here is 4 what's called pinkies or rat pups, and these guys, they're all humanely euthanized. What they do is they use a gas. So these guys are living and going on about their life, and then all of a sudden they go into a gas chamber and they just go to sleep. So there's no long painful death like it would be if you were to feed them to a constrictor. And so I really like this method a whole lot better. There's nothing wrong with feeding live. It's just what works for me. I don't want to have to take care of the live rodents if the snake doesn't eat. So it's a whole lot easier in that aspect as well. If you get a live mouse or a live rat and the snake doesn't eat, then you have to take care of that until the snake's ready to eat. And also, while it's in the cage, it could be damaging the cage or it could be damaging the snake. So what I have here is my 4 rat pups, and these are gonna be for a few of the smaller animals. And we try to, let us know in the comments. We do read and reply to the comments. Let us know. I've always heard that it's better to feed rats than it is mice. So I always get rat pups or fuzzy rats over getting mice. Let us know if you've ever heard that. I don't even know where I heard that from. I've just always gone by that method. And then we also have our large frozen rats. And again, they packaged them so that they have their arms around each other. Why do they have to do that? Like, rats are such awesome animals. Can you make them look like they're fighting or something, like Ninja Turtles or something? I don't know why. Womp, womp, womp. Jonas is looking at me like I'm dumb from behind the camera. We do all this in our small animal building. As you can imagine, you probably don't want dead rats thawing out inside of your kitchen. So we do it out here just with warm water. It takes like 4 to 6 hours with running warm water over them, or you can just leave them sitting in some warm water and you're left with a limp, dry rat. So we're gonna go ahead and start feeding and let you guys see all of our snakes. All right, so as you can see, I have on latex gloves. I cannot stand feeding insects too, but I can't stand touching the dead prey, so I do like gloves. And then just for safety, I also use tongs. Now, most of our snakes are very food motivated. We feed all of our snakes inside of their enclosures. We don't take them out. So whenever they see something coming into the cage, they know that it is about to be food. However, that does create an environment so that when you reach in there, they might think that your hand is food. So you want to be really, really careful with that. But once they come out of their cage, they're really, really good. Now, this is our red-tailed boa. This girl likes it super humid. So as you can see, we've got her humidifier going in here, and she is massive. She was surrendered to a friend's rescue up in North Carolina, and we went and got her from them. Absolutely awesome rescue group. And we're gonna see if she wants to eat. Sometimes she's kind of picky, sometimes she's not. So we're gonna see if she will eat. Oh yeah, she was nice and hungry today. So it's been about a week since she's eaten, and sometimes we'll feed her larger meals. If she has a larger prey item, we might go 2 weeks before feeding her. But I like a smaller prey item typically for her, and would typically about once a week. Now for things like the ball pythons, we normally feed them a rat, and they get fed about once a week. But for her, typically it's about once every 2 weeks. She is an older snake too. So we'll go ahead. The most important thing is always, anybody that has reptiles, you know, you gotta lock the cage back up. You do not want a snake getting loose because they're extremely hard to find. All right, now our next snake, what should we feed next? Let's see if Connie the corn snake. This is, I hate to say this, but she is one of my least favorite snakes. She's super teeny tiny, and she just makes me a nervous wreck that I'm gonna accidentally harm her when I'm holding her. Now these guys are colubrids, so I'm gonna see if I can't put this in there. They're not constrictors, so she may bite it, but she's not gonna like coil around it to eat it. So I'm gonna see if I can stick this over here close to her, and then we'll actually close the cage back up, and then we'll probably end up coming back to her just to see if she is interested in eating. She is not, like I said, she's not a constrictor. I'll move it a little bit closer to her. So in the wild, what these guys would do is they would come up on a nest, like a nest of squirrels, and they would go inside the nest and they would eat all of the baby squirrels. And they would just kind of swallow them down. And that's the same thing for in captivity. They're not going to necessarily strike and constrict, but if she sees it and she likes the way it smells, she may say, oh, I'm gonna eat this. There she goes. And you'll notice she's not going to coil around it. She's just going to kind of grab it head first, position it just right, and swallow it down. That only took her like, what, 0.2 seconds for her to swallow it down? So we're gonna go ahead and see if she wants another one. Sometimes, like I said, in the wild, they would find a whole nest and they would eat a couple at a time. So it's totally normal for them to have more than one prey item at a time. So it's looking like she's kind of interested, and she also just shed. So I'm gonna go ahead and hold this guy here and see what she does. She's sniffing it. She likes the way it smells. She knows it's food. She's just trying to find that head. Like I said, she wants to find that head so that she can position it quickly and swallow it down. So she's gonna go ahead and swallow that one down as well. See why these guys are so beneficial to have around your property. If you have mice or rats that are nesting in the walls of, say, your barn or your shed, and these guys are living there also, they'll find a nest and they will absolutely devour every single one of the babies and wait on mom and dad to come back and devour them too, which is really, really good for rodent population in an area. All right, so while she's finishing that little rat up, I'm gonna go ahead and head on to the next snake. Now, these guys are my personal favorite. A lot of people will get these because they're so cheap and so easy to take care of, and it's really unfair to call them a beginner snake or to call them a kid's pet or a first pet. They are that, they're just that. They're super easy to take care of. I'm talking about ball pythons if you don't already know. But these guys are super, super awesome, and they deserve the same care as all the other reptiles and animals that you may keep. So this is Khan. Khan is a very finicky, picky eater, and he just ate last week. So I don't know if he's gonna eat today, but I'm still gonna offer it to him just to see. And so he is a very shy snake. He's one of my oldest snakes. He was actually going to be released. Someone called and said, if we don't get him right now, they're gonna turn him loose. And these guys are an African species of snake. Kind of what I'm doing is just trying to simulate a rat, what a rat would be doing in the wild, kind of sniffing around the burrow. And then I'll look for the tongue flicking to see if he's smelling it. And if he doesn't eat it, then we'll actually just leave it laying here and come back to see if he eats later. Oh, yep, he's hungry. So now we can see him coming on up, and he's got that tongue flicking. That tongue flicking means that he is smelling it, and he's just getting his body in the correct position to be able to strike. And once he feels like he's in a good striking area, he'll go ahead and strike it. And because he is a constrictor, he'll go ahead and constrict around it. So you can see him moving up, and there he goes. That is that strike and constrict. And a lot of people think that a snake is maybe sizing them up when they are beside them. and they think that they are going to measure them so that they can see if they can eat them. That is the furthest thing from the truth there is. Snakes are ambush predators. So this guy is just in the wild. He would just lay in a hole and wait for prey to come by, and he would strike and constrict around it, and either he judged correctly or he didn't. But they're typically not going to try and get anything unless they can swallow it whole. And once they start eating, it's really cool. You can move them around and do things with them, and any movement, they just think that, hey, this animal's still alive. He doesn't realize that the rat is already dead, so he thinks he's killing it. So we can go ahead and set his decorations back up and close his cage, and won't disturb him one bit. And once his body feels like there's no pulse or no breathing happening from that rat, he will go ahead and let go of it and swallow it down. And so this is 2.0. This is one of the, I never see ball pythons that have this kind of crazy reaction that this girl does. She's almost like a king cobra, the way she will come out of her cage and after food. She's absolutely nuts. And she has never missed a feeding. And I don't know what these guys are, if they're male or female. She is another one that somebody, she missed it, but then she got it. Oh God, you gotta give her a little fight just to let her get that satisfaction. There you go, girl, you got it. And then we can go ahead and move her back on in here and slide the glass back as well. And these are very good meals for ball pythons. Typically, the best way to measure a meal for a snake like a ball python is to look at the biggest part of their body. And for a ball python, you can actually go a little bit bigger than the largest part of their body. But for things like the corn snake or the boa constrictor, you want to go with the largest part of their body, which is why we feed these guys a little bit more often. They're a little bit more voracious eaters, whereas things like the boa constrictors, they'll eat anything you put in front of them and they can get way overweight. So this guy that we're gonna feed next, he is a rat snake that someone actually tried to kill, and he's partially blind. And this guy wants to do nothing but eat all of the time. I don't even know why I'm sitting like this. I need to be ready to run if this thing comes out. Rat snakes, they're another colubrid, so he's not gonna constrict around this. These cages, for anybody interested, are EcoFlex cages. Absolutely love these cages. A whole lot friendlier price range than the Vision cages, and just as sturdy, super sturdy cages. And so here he goes. And all these snakes are non-venomous. If we did have venomous snakes, you would see them strike, and that initial strike is actually the death blow. That's what starts the animal to actually start digesting. These are non-venomous snakes, so they have other means to kill animals. Typically for something like this, they may wrap around it if they have a larger prey item, but they're primarily just gonna find prey that they can just swallow down. Let's see if this guy will start eating for us. Typically I have to walk away from him. And so I think this guy is actually camera shy. So what I like to do with the colubrids, if they don't strike and start eating immediately, is we'll actually just leave it there. He's definitely interested in it. Because he was wild prior to coming to us, he is a little bit more shy. But once he eats that rat, he'll be ready to go for a second, third, fourth. He was a little skinny when we got him, and he'd eat 3 rattings easily in a sitting. All right, guys, so now we're gonna go ahead and feed the animals that are not snakes that also like rats, and I can guarantee that you're not gonna be able to guess any of them. We've got one large rat, so maybe you can tell us what you think would be eating something this size that's not a snake. And then we've got 2 small little pinky rats. So that's what's left. We're gonna go ahead and feed those guys now. All right, this is one of my absolute favorites. Obviously, you know what it is if you're looking at the cover. This is one of my favorite lizards here at the sanctuary. This guy's name is Saber, and he only gets 1 pinky rat per month. And so this is a very special time for him. These guys primarily eat insects, and in the wild, they would actually eat snails. So they, in captivity, they have a tendency to get very, very overweight. So we don't want to give him too many rats or rodents, but it is great enrichment for him. You can see just how excited he was, and he is growing. So I do like to give him 1 a month just for that added enrichment. Typically I would dust them with calcium powder, but I completely forgot about it prior to this video. But he does get a lot of dubia roaches with a lot of calcium powder. And this guy will be 3 to 4 feet long when he is full grown. So it's really important that we're doing a lot of handling with him and a lot of enrichment. And we've actually kind of trained him to go for the tongs. He knows that the tongs mean food. So like if he sees the tongs, he thinks that means food. Whereas if he sees my hand, he does not react to it and try to bite my hand. which is obviously not something that we want. He's got a little bit of shed on him here. Let's see if we can pick that off you, little buddy. But you can see he made quick work of that. In the wild, these guys would also eat an entire nest of baby rats or baby mice, but they're constantly eating. These guys will eat insane amounts of food. His stomach will swell just like a snake almost. These guys have teeth, and they will thrash their head back and forth and rub their prey if it's too large and break it up into little pieces and swallow it down piece by piece, a lot like an alligator or a crocodile would. All right, buddy, that's all you get. You got to go back up to your house. Let's go back up to your hot spot. 2 more animals left on the list, you guys. We've got 2 very different sized rats here to feed. As you can see, again, we've got this pinky rat, which is like the size of somebody's pinky. I guess that's why they call him a pinky rat. And then we've got this big fat rat right here. So let's go outside and see what wants to eat these guys. All right, so for this next animal, we are actually going to have to see if they'll come out of their doghouse, because that's the shelter that they get in the summertime. These are our redfoot tortoises. We've got 3 in here, but typically only 1 wants to eat frozen thawed pinky rats. And his name is Darth Maul. So let's see if we can get this guy out. Sometimes his girlfriend Star will eat one, but it's primarily him that is always super eager to eat it. Now, this is the time, if you have a really squeamish stomach, this is the time where you definitely want to walk away. So Star's the girl. So we're actually going to give this to her, and we're going to have to make up for it because she lays eggs. So, I mean, the girl has to get it. And we'll make up for it by thawing him some more out. I'm sorry, buddy. I only have one. You come over here. The corn snake ate so many. I'll give you a banana. Here, let me get him a banana. That's sad. All right, I'm back. I actually got a banana for him and our yellowfoot tortoise, Tano, because I felt really guilty for only having 1 pinky. So let's see, buddy, will this do? Will this do for you? You want a banana instead? Yeah, that's good. That'll make you not like jealous and not hate me. Thank you so much. And these guys, I'll take the sticker off the banana peel and they'll actually eat the peel too. All right, and let's see if Star will eat this pinky. Now I'm gonna be really brave and I'm gonna see if she'll eat this from my hands without getting bit. Oh God, don't bite me. Don't miss, girl. Don't miss. Now these guys are a South American tortoise species, and they are omnivores. They eat pretty much anything that they can find on the ground. They'll eat fruit, they'll eat dead animals that have been rotting, they'll eat anything. I've come out here before and seen these guys eating frogs that they found inside their enclosure. They do like it nice and warm, so we only bring them outside here in South Carolina in the summertime, and then in the wintertime, they actually go inside or have a heated shelter. But outside is always best when it comes to reptiles. They love UVB lights. No matter what kind of reptile it is, just about every one of them will benefit from some time outdoors. And then we're gonna go ahead and give you a little bit of banana too, my beautiful girl. You are so cute. I know. These guys were both found roaming downtown Columbia. They were actually roaming around. Presumably they were turned loose. Nobody ever claimed them as a lost pet. They were at a local rescue for a while and nobody ever came forth saying that they were missing them. So we actually ended up taking them in here when they had nowhere to go. Just as good as the Amazon rainforest, right? In the wild, these guys are threatened currently because people eat redfoot tortoises a lot. And you can actually go to the markets in like Peru and Central and South America and find these guys in bags. They sell them alive still, and they actually make tortoise soup out of them. And in the pet trade, it's very common for people to get them and then not provide them with the necessary lighting and diet. And so they get this bad pyramiding like Darth Maul has over here. Now, if you look at the doghouse, you'll see our newest addition, who was actually surrendered when his previous owner passed away. This guy right here is named Tano, and he is we think he's a hybrid. He's possibly a yellowfoot, redfoot hybrid, or he might be a yellowfoot, but he was severely deformed. We've had him for about a year now. He was really deformed whenever we first got him, but he's doing a whole lot better, and he absolutely loves his enclosure outside. All right, guys, and for the last rat, we got one left, one little rat. For the last rat, this is gonna go to our red tegu. Let's go see him. He lives in the barn. That's how big he is. So this guy came to us when his previous owner was getting rid of him, and these guys are super hard to find homes for because of the massive size that they get to. He was living in a very teeny tiny fish tank when we first got him, and we felt awful for him and said that we would take him in, and now he is going to need a massive cage upgrade. These guys like a deep substrate, and they like it super hot. So with 100-degree days here and about 90% humidity every day, we're able to keep him outside in this massive horse trough for now. But over winter, he's actually going to be upgraded to an 8-foot-long cage that's 4 foot deep and has a deep tunnel system in it so that he'll be able to burrow like he would in South America. But he's gonna swallow that rat entirely whole. And just like Saber, our Savannah monitor, if he thinks it's a little bit too big to swallow, he'll actually break it apart by rubbing it against rocks and different things in his habitat and swallow it piece by piece. All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and let him eat in peace and go check all the other reptiles and make sure everybody enjoyed their dinner. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed feeding all the snakes their rats today. I know we enjoyed it, and we definitely appreciate you subscribing and liking our posts, and hope you continue to follow along. Pretty soon, we're going to be doing a video on caring for the other critters on the farm, so be sure to comment below and let us know what you'd like to see more of, and smash that like button and subscribe. Peace.